Hello and welcome to this AntMini Google Hangout. My name is Brian Casey. I'm editor-in-chief of AntMini.com, and we're glad to be with you today. We have with us Ed Cronin. He is CEO of AHRA, the Association for Medical Imaging Management. We also have with us Christian Renaudin. He is founder and CEO of the MarkeTech Group, and today we're going to be discussing the Q4 numbers for the Medical Imaging Confidence Index. It's a quarterly survey of radiology administrators. New numbers were released this week, and they provide some pretty valuable insights into sentiment among radiology administrators and managers. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us today.
Nice to be with you.
You're welcome.
Great. So, Ed, if you could start by maybe talking a little bit about the job that radiology administrators and managers do and how important that is in medical imaging.
Sure. Well, AHRA is a national organization, and we represent over 5,000 imaging leaders in hospitals and imaging centers around the country. And our members are typically the director of radiology or a manager of radiology in a hospital or an outpatient or freestanding imaging center. And they really are the ones who make the whole business of providing patient imaging for patients work. They're really at the pulse of what's happening in terms of patient flow, in terms of workflow, and that sort of thing. So we think that that the impressions that our members have about the way things are going are a valuable tool for the whole industry.
Excellent. And so that's what the MICI Index was set up to do. Christian, can you talk about that a little bit for us?
Yes, thank you. And again, as you guys know, the MICI Index is based on the ImagePro panel that we operate, which is a calibrated panel of imaging administrators around the country. And there are 600 of them. For this MICI Index, we rely on about 140 members who are asked the same question quarter after quarter. There's a little bit of attrition over the years, so you can see we have about 137 left towards the end of this year, and we're going to replenish next year. Just a quick reminder, the scores are calculated through an indexing from 50 to 200. I mean, basically 0 to 200, but what's significant is 50 to 150, 150 being a highly confidence, very high confidence, and below 50 being extremely low confidence. And we have a good bed-size representation again throughout the country. So it's a good market projection. On the next slide, we show trends by quarter, but also we compare to prior quarters, and I think now we have about 2.5 years worth of data, and that starts to be very powerful. On the next slide, you can see this country coverage, and we have a good representation of all the regions, so we can slice and dice as needed. So coming to this quarter, Casey and Ed, as you know, a little bit of a surprise of a downward change. You can see that the confidence for reimbursement from Medicare is still very low at 62. It's always been low. But what's new is access to capital, which has been lower than before, but fairly neutral still not in the danger territory, but lower than before. We will see that in a second. What's high confidence right now is the ability to control cost, whether it's operational cost or staff cost. Very high confidence that our colleagues around the country can maintain the cost of operation fairly under control, and they're still fairly confident that they continue to grow and maintain their operation as a profit center, as you know, so vital for most hospital operation. So I was just mentioning before some surprise this quarter. You can see a couple of curves are going significantly down, and we're not too happy about that. So this is, first of all, access to capital. This is the orange curve that is significantly lower, and the lowest point ever since we created the index. There is some concern about being able to get the capital budget.
Yeah. Could I make a comment on that?
Yes, go ahead, Ed.
Christian, you know, in looking at that, it had remained stable, you know, for the last year or so, and then this big drop. I think that may be that, at least from hearing from our members, a lot of them have been spending the month of October locked in a room doing budgets, and this may be an indication that that the budgets are being done and capital purchases are not being expected in the next year. So it's a little bit reached the decision point that may make the number more accurate.
Yeah, we were.
Even though it's
Yes,
low.
yes, sorry.
Ed, do you think that's a surprise? I mean, aren't we at a point where we ought to be starting to pull out of this slump that we've been in for the last few years?
You mean in terms of buying equipment?
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally, I don't think it's a surprise. I think, you know, the uncertainty with the whole healthcare debate and with the way hospitals are going to get paid in the future, you know, CFOs are being cautious, and you know, I don't see anything in the political arena or the, you know, the economic arena that's clarified in a positive way.
What sort of things are you hearing out on the street from some of your members?
Well, just that they're expecting, number one, they're expecting to get paid less by Medicare. There are some proposed reimbursement rates that the CMS is working on that are going to lower reimbursement, especially for CT and MR. Those could take a significant hit, and you know, just the whole way that healthcare is being delivered. And
so no light at the end of the tunnel, and not yet, at least.
You know, certainly not in the next quarter that these numbers are looking at, or then probably in the next couple of quarters.
Okay, Christian, what do you think that we can look forward to here in the next quarter?
Well, it's hard to do the crystal ball, but I think, as usual, organizations that are well run and that are used to run their operation with great discipline will shake out and be able to continue to acquire great technology from our vendors, partners, and those who are struggling tend to be the smaller institutions, and we see a difference by bed size that is significant. And the smaller bed size, their confidence is not as good as the one that are 100 beds or more. We see that in the index. There's a significant difference between the two groups. So I think it's really up to the health system whether they want to continue to deploy resources to the smaller institution that tends to be gravitating in the satellite or different isolated areas. And we see that's what's happening with HCAPS and other changes in regulation, where it usually benefits the larger institution who are already well organized to address the regulatory requirements as opposed to small institutions. So don't forget that the large majority of the market are hospitals of 100 beds or less.
So we have the RSNA coming up in just less than a month. Anything that you think we can look forward to there?
Well, without revealing some of our clients' projects, I know there's some great technology that will be announced at RSNA in the area of PET imaging, CT imaging, for the most part. We know that the dose of radiation exposure continue to be a strong priority. A lot of indicators show that at the highest level, this is a top priority to consider new technology. Those are the things we've been observing this far. But of course, at an affordable cost, and I think this index shows that vendors should not forget the economic reality. It's when you bring innovation to the market, you're tempted to charge a premium for it, but unfortunately the market may not have the capacity to pay for the innovation that it used to.
Good point. All right, Ed, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think those are some key things that will happen in RSNA. We'll certainly be there. We're working with all of our vendor partners to find ways to continue to educate our members on new technologies and best practices.
All right, very good. We'll look forward to seeing everyone there. Ed and Christian, thank you for being with us today.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you at RSNA, and then also looking forward to Q1 numbers from the MICI Index. Signing off for AntMini.com, my name is Brian Casey.